Well, I don't know if the lighting is super great here, but this is some of my new shop space, or at least new laid out shop space, and I want to show you guys kind of what I've been doing. So if you're new here, my name is Zach. We talk about overlanding, gear, builds, DIY, all sorts of stuff related to modifying your vehicle. And when I say DIY, I truly mean that, and I'm standing over my skids right now because I tried to install my differential seals myself and they're leaking, so I've got to go back and fix that. So I really try and do as much of this work myself, and sometimes that means I kind of fail and I need to go back and fix things. So on the channel here, I'm by no means a Toyota mechanic or anything like that. I'm just an engineer that's curious and maybe a little overconfident, and I try to tackle things myself if I can. And I bring you guys along for all my projects, and I think for the most part it's probably just entertaining, but I try to drop some little tidbits of pro tips or things that I kind of notice along the way as I'm doing some of this stuff. So I want to give kind of a huge shout out. You know, there's two companies who have really supported me. The biggest one being Harbor Freight. Harbor Freight's been a huge supporter of me. They really like to give back, I think, to the DIY community. And for a lot of you out there, they're a really nice price point tool to get the job done, because the thing is if you're going to do DIY, you kind of almost have to double down because cost of tools is really expensive. And so if you're trying to build out a space where you can work on stuff, you know, depending upon how often you do particular projects, paying for the labor literally might be cheaper than actually buying for the tools or having the space to store the tools or those sorts of things. So my shop here, or my garage just at my house, has evolved and taken a number of stages. And before that I had a detached garage space, and before that I just had a garage space or slot in a parking garage part of my apartment. So, you know, I've gone through these layers of building out space for being able to do these projects, and as I get a little more space, I try and bite off a little bit bigger projects. So, you know, like for example is the DIY rooftop tent. So this is kind of the space, and I've made a bunch of small updates and have got some new tools, and I just want to show you guys some of what's going on here. So yeah, if you like this sort of vlog style content, you know, drop a comment. I just want to show you guys the space because I think it's kind of fun. And if some of you are kind of curious where I'm working to get all this stuff done on my 4Runner, then I'll kind of show it to you here. So, all right, let's jump right into it. All right, so I want to kind of just show some of the new layout of my garage space because I'm gearing up to do some more big projects this winter, and I want to show some of the new tools that we've added to the setup. So just kind of a little back, sort of behind the scenes here. I'm taking apart my bead locks on these wheels because eventually, whether I decide to stick with the Generals or these Mickey Thompsons, I want to bead lock mount them. So I'm taking apart the wheels just because kind of trying to stay ahead of things. And over here we've got my skids. I had a little bit of an issue with my seals leaking on my front differential, so I think they may be too deep. I don't really know, so I gotta kind of investigate that. But that's why these are sitting out right now, so I gotta clean them off. And I also think I broke my front actuator, but after plugging it in, it looks like it might be another transfer case switch, so we'll have to see. I'm gonna end up replacing the front actuator and that front seal, but this right here is the star of the show. So Harbor Freight just sent me out this Vulcan 220 Omni Pro. This is the exact same welder that Preston used to weld up my truck for the long travel kit, and I am so stoked to get to learn how to use this. So I've got this little hitch receiver thing that I was working on, and I actually did these welds with his welder. So I'm primarily just going to MIG weld steel. That's the plan right now. So I've got some wire that Harbor Freight sent out as well. So it's 0.030 inch wire. I think that's a fairly standard wire. And then there's a local place in Minnesota here in Plymouth that will rent out these tanks. And so I've got 75% argon and then 25% CO2 gas here. And I guess you can use flux core, which is like a nice way of not having to use gas at all. But apparently it's kind of like a nice beginner setup, but it's pretty annoying and the welds will splatter and stuff. So this is sort of the way to go. So I'm really a rookie at welding. If any of you want to give any tips and tricks in the comment section down below, please, I'm all ears. I'm just starting everything out and trying to get it all set up. So I also got this regulator here. I got to get this all hooked up so that I can run the gas from the tank through the welder. So this is a 120 or 110 volt setup, so you can plug it into like, I think a high amperage normal wall outlet, but I'm probably gonna run 220 volt too. We'll see. All right, so I wanna just show you this AC unit. It's very similar to one I have already that I've been using for over 2 years, I think now, or at least a year, 2 summers for sure. So this is a 14,000 BTU window AC air conditioner. So probably the biggest feature update to this system is it will pull cold air from the room and then it will cool it down further and exhaust it out of this. So a lot of systems will have 2 of these hoses. My previous year one did have 2, and I live in a house with only window ACs, so these I really rely on in the summer, and Minnesota gets quite hot. It's got a couple of different features. We've got like a power button, different fan speeds. This controls the temperature. We have a mode, which is fan, dehumidify, and cool. The dehumidify function is kind of based on the temperature outside or the temperature that it sort of senses, and then it will drop the temperature a bit and it tries to pull humidity out of the air as it sends it through. Sometimes the cool feature seems to be a little bit humid, but it also is better than just like normal fan. You can use a timer mode, but I never really use that, and the oscillating mode is maybe useful, but I never really use that either. The interesting thing is it comes with this remote, and I typically keep this next to our bed, and it's really useful, and you can use it to control the LEDs. One thing is the if you control it on the unit or you control it with the actual remote, it has like different priorities, so everything really needs to be set with the remote. So once you turn it on, you can see there it shows the temperature on the front, and this is low, so I actually really prefer to have this on at night too, because I really like the extra sound. So it just kind of depends on what you prefer, but if you look at this here, we've got a couple of different things. The biggest thing is LEDs, so if you press LED at night, it will turn all of the LEDs off, which is really useful. And then here you can change the temperature that you want to set it at. It's pretty awesome. I've really liked this unit. One thing that I have noticed is the temperature sensor in the unit will be thrown off by air outside. So if you're pulling in, you know, air from the room, but there's like really cold air that kind of works its way down that hose from outside, sometimes it won't kick on. So, you know, that's the only thing I can notice, is that if you have a particular room where you want to run the air conditioner and you don't want to just run the fan mode, it gets a little confused between temperatures. But otherwise, everything really has worked great for me, and I just want to kind of give a shout out to these guys because they sent me one of these units last year, and then they sent this updated version this year, and like I said, I've been using them for 2 summers straight now, every day, because they cool my entire house, and I have really had good luck with them so far. So in the future, I hope to add a mini split system or HVAC system to the house, and then these are going to go in the shop. So that's been kind of part of my planning all along, and you're probably wondering, like, why is this in my shop video? And that's why, because eventually these will make it into my shop. So the other thing too here is you'll see I've got this little welding table. So this is the titanium welding table from Harbor Freight. I don't anticipate welding, you know, too many large things, so I thought this could be a useful little station for welding up small stuff and trying to keep it all square. So I asked for a couple of these little magnetic right angle brackets because they help to hold your material in place, but I'm gonna buy more of these. We've got a welding helmet. So I'm trying to get all set up here and just kind of get some sort of station going so that we can get this you know, kind of welding stuff out and on the road, because I want to learn how to do this for some potentially bigger upcoming projects. So also realized I could store all my jack stands right underneath there, which is pretty slick. I've been doing a lot of projects, so most of my Hercules tools aren't on the shelf there, but I've really loved having this French cleat system, so I kind of keep a lot of my power tools over on that wall. But one of the bigger things that I want to showcase is this new setup I have here for storing my tents. So as you all know, I have this DIY rooftop tent that I've been very, very slowly working on, primarily because I've got the James Brown Odyssey M, and I really love the James Brown tent, so I don't have like this burning desire or need to build my tent because I have this awesome tent to use. So I wanted to maintain the space to still work on that at some point, and so I built this, what's essentially sort of inspired by a boat lift. So I've got these carpeted 2x4 runners, and I can slide my tent in and out when I need to. And it's worked great so far, and it keeps everything out of the way enough. And I've got this opening through this wall here to bring it out through my garage door. So that's been kind of one of the latest adds to the garage space. And I'll kind of show you how I've laid out some of the other space too, because you know, if you used to remember, there was just a doorway here and this like ugly partition wall. And over here was an old workbench, and that's what I would always stand by when I'd film, and then I'd have that in my background. Well, we're kind of trying to get everything set up here because then I can use the stall that I'm standing in like currently to park whatever I want to work on. And then we'll have a little welding station here. I've got a little wood station in the back. And it's got some gear storage in the way back, and then all the tools over here. So I'll show you that in a second as well, but just wanted to kind of give a little show for this because some of you out there might be looking for inspiration. And I could easily build a better workbench if I wanted this to be like an actual table. So right now it's really more just an exoskeleton to hold the tent because the tent has its own structure. But yeah, we've got some other stuff up here, a little bit of a spoiler here, but James Brown sent me a bunch of just fabric materials that I can thrash on and try and ruin and just show you guys kind of their durability. We also have an insulation kit for the James Brown tent, which is gonna be sweet for some winter camping this year. Got some chairs and got my one of my ladders here, as well as another ladder system they're kind of working on. So got some other stuff in the works with James Brown. This is actually a Total Chaos 2-inch long travel kit sway bar that I bought. It's like a high articulation sway bar. So I'm running the long travel kit right now without the sway bar, but I'm gonna do some comparisons with the sway bar in the future. So you know, if you guys are watching this shop tour video, you're getting a little bit of an inside scoop at what I've been working on and what I'm planning to do. So if we kind of pan over to this side here, this is another big filming setup I've sort of worked on and got all sorted out. So we've got the big top-down camera going here. We've got my lighting here, which is kind of cool. It's got like a 2-stage, so if I want to dim some things, we've got the switches right here. They're super easy access, so we've just got like the one there if I need less lighting. And if I need more lighting, you know, this is great too. So like I've said before, trying to get this all really sorted out, and Harbor Freight sent this over to me. You know, it's hard to film this sort of stuff, but I use these tools all the time. Like I'm really beaten on everything they've sent me, and I've really been impressed with the Hercules stuff. I've really been impressed with the Icon stuff. So I'm just gonna continue to beat on them. This is my reciprocating saw, and you know, I beat on that. I've probably gone through 40 of these blades. I'm always charging these batteries. I've just got them kind of sitting there on the wall ready to go. I clean almost every bolt off of the 4Runner with this thing, which is pretty sweet. You just like turn it on and away it goes. You want to wear some gloves though when you run that thing, because the wires in there will just like shoot out, so it's a little bit of a hazard. But this setup's sweet. And this is my chainsaw battery charger, which doubles as also my weed whacker and my leaf blower, which I actually bought myself. Those I just use to double up because it's nice to kind of have everything in the ecosystem. So this is a little bit of like a metal working area too, but trying to not make this too boring, but I want to show you guys all around. So A little while back, New Air sent me this fan, and I've been using that as well. So, you know, I didn't need to plug that in this video, but I do use it all the time. I typically just let it run. I've got a bunch of pipe clamps for building wood stuff here. I've been using this miter saw and the table saw a ton. Been doing some trim work and stuff on the home. So this stuff really comes in handy. I have used it for building some of my previous platforms on the 4Runner and the Land Cruiser. I've got some plans that have been really taken on the back burner, but I've been using these as well. So I've got a bunch of other storage here too, some Rome cases. Unfortunately, Home Depot discontinued these OD green or olive green bins, but yeah, man, they're awesome. Got a bunch of OEM parts that I'll probably never use ever again, but I'm holding on to just in case. Here's kind of another view of the garage slash rooftop tent sort of bench setup. This is the garage, and it's come a long way since I moved into this place a couple years ago. And I've just been trying to chip away at videos and then work on this when I can. And lately I've been able to really clean everything up because I've just needed to, so that I can continue to function and operate in the space. But I'm really excited for some of this metal work because I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I've got a big project I'm trying to coordinate and work out, and I'll share more as more details become available. All right, well, that's going to be a wrap for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you're new to the channel or you have seen some of my videos and you like what I'm doing, consider subscribing and hit the notification bell so that you know when I actually post. Because I used to post really regularly, and it's been harder and harder for me to hit my schedule for posting videos every week. So if you like what I'm doing and you want to see when I post new videos, really recommend you click that subscribe button and the notification bell, because then you'll see when I post. Because if I'm not ranking perfectly in the algorithm, I may or may not really show up on your front page or your latest videos to watch. So that's kind of a little pro tip for you guys if you want to see what I'm doing and I'm not playing all the right games to drop the viral content or the content that YouTube is trying to push. So thank you so much for your support. I think this is kind of a fun video because these are sort of the tools and all of the background that allow me to do these projects. But if you don't like these sort of videos, you know, drop a comment about that too, because I can try and just focus on the stuff that you guys all like too, and I like filming. So, alrighty, well, thank you. Again, a huge shout out to New Air and Harbor Freight for supporting me. Maybe down the road, I'm gonna put new windows in the garage space, and then I'd love to put those window AC units out here if I get kind of a more permanent setup for the house. But we'll see what happens, kind of one step at a time. And yeah, a huge shout out to those companies for supporting me. There's a lot here I do on the channel that is through the support of companies that I believe in, that I've researched, because without them, it's hard to make this sort of content because a lot of this stuff can get really expensive. And you sort of want to pick the right sponsors and work with companies that you like, so that down the road you can do cool projects like this. So, alrighty, well, thank you all for the support. I really appreciate it. I'll catch you all in the next video.